Hi, class. We're starting our new book today. You guys voted what we were going to read next, and we're going to read The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. It's a really good book. I actually read the first chapter and recorded it and realized how short it was and thought I'm going to do it again because we can fit in more. And I'm reading to you today the first 3 chapters of the book. So remember when we've been reading our close reads together in class, we talk about how the beginning of the story, usually a few things happen at the beginning. Hopefully you guys remember them. There are kind of probably about 3 of the main things usually that happen at the beginning are we're introduced to the setting, when and where the story takes place. And that's going to happen here. You're going to hear one setting, but it's going to be over pretty quickly. And then you're going to get introduced to the main setting of the story. And then you're usually also introduced to the main character at the very beginning. Main characters usually at close to the beginning. And then one of the main things that also happens is that you're given a problem. There's a problem that happens at the beginning of every story, and usually the bulk of the story is the characters are trying to solve that problem, and then the ending is how that problem is solved. So keep that in mind as we begin our new book, The Wild Robot. Chapter 1, The Ocean. Our story begins on the ocean with wind and rain and thunder and lightning and waves. A hurricane roared and raged through the night, and in the middle of the chaos, a cargo ship was sinking. Down, down, down to the ocean floor. The ship left hundreds of crates floating on the surface. But as the hurricane thrashed and swirled and knocked them around, the crates also began sinking into the depths. One after another, they were swallowed up by the waves until only 5 crates remained. By morning, the hurricane was gone. There were no clouds, no ships, no land in sight. There was only calm water and clear skies, and those 5 crates lazily bobbing along an ocean current. Days passed, and then a smudge of green appeared on the horizon. As the crates drifted closer, the soft green shapes slowly sharpened into the hard edges of a wild, rocky island. This is our real setting. The first crate rode to shore on a tumbling, rumbling wave and then crashed against the rocks with such force that the whole thing burst apart. Now, reader, what I haven't mentioned is that tightly packed inside each crate was a brand new robot. The cargo ship had been transporting hundreds of them before it was swept up in the storm. Now only 5 robots were left. Actually, only 4 were left because when that first crate crashed against the rocks, the robot inside shattered to pieces. The same thing happened to the next crate. It crashed against the rocks, and robot parts flew everywhere. Then it happened to the next crate, and the next. Robot limbs and torsos were flung onto the ledges. A robot head splashed into a tide pool. A robot foot skittered into the waves. Limbs are arms and legs, and torso is the main part of your body. That would be the torso. And then came the last crate. It followed the same path as others, but instead of crashing against the rocks, it sloshed against the remains of the first 4 crates. Soon more waves were heaving it up out of the water. It soared through the air, spinning and glistening until it slammed down onto a tall shelf of rock. The crate was cracked and crumbled, but the robot inside was safe. You can see the shelf or the crate perched up on that shelf of rock there in the illustration. Chapter 2, The Otters. And here's a picture right at the beginning. The otters. The island's northern shore had become something of a robot grave site. Scattered across the rocks were the broken bodies of 4 dead robots. They sparkled in the early morning light, and their sparkles caught the attention of some very curious creatures. A gang of sea otters were romping through the shallows when one of them noticed the sparkling objects. The otters all froze. They raised their noses to the wind, but they smelled only the sea, so they cautiously crept over the rocks to take a closer look. The gang slowly approached a robot torso. The biggest otter stuck out its paw, swatted the heavy thing, and quickly jumped back, but nothing happened. So they wriggled over to the robot hand. Another brave otter stuck out her paw and flipped the hand over. It made a lovely clinking sound on the rocks, and the otter squeaked with delight. They spread out and played with robot arms and legs and feet. More hands were flipped. One of the otters discovered a robot head in the tide pool, and they all dove in and took turns rolling it along the bottom. And then they spotted something else. Overlooking the gravesite was the one surviving crate. Its sides were scraped and dented, and a wide gash ran across its top. The otters scampered up the rocks and climbed onto the big box. 10 furry faces poked through the gash, eager to see what was inside. What they saw was another brand new robot, but this robot was different from the others. It was still in one piece, and it was surrounded by spongy packing foam. The otters reached through the gash and tore at the foam. It was so soft and squishy. They squeaked as they snatched at the fluffy stuff. Shreds of it floated away on the sea breeze, and in all the excitement, one of their paws accidentally slapped an important little button on the back of the robot's head. Click! It took a while for the otters to realize that something was happening inside the crate, but a moment later they heard it, a low whirring sound. Everyone stopped and stared, and then the robot opened her eyes. Chapter 3, The Robot. The robot's computer brain booted up. Her programs began coming online, and then, still packed in her crate, she automatically started to speak. Hello, I am Rosum, Unit 7134, but you may call me Roz. While my robotic systems are activating, I will tell you about myself. Once fully activated, I will be able to move and communicate and learn. Simply give me a task and I will complete it. Over time, I will find better ways of completing my task. I will become a better robot. When I am not needed, I will stay out of the way and keep myself in good working order. Thank you for your time. I am now fully activated. And that is the end of chapter 3. You have now met our main character, Roz. We kind of have the beginnings of a problem, right? She's on the island, and that we know is going to be a problem in itself. What problems do you think Roz might have while she's on the island? What do you think is going to be the problem of this book? I look forward to reading chapter 4 to you.